The garden rescue. The scent of petunias and damp earth hung heavy in the air, a fragrant curtain separating Alex from the sidewalk. He was supposed to be meeting Ben and Marco at the park, kicking a soccer ball around until dusk painted the sky. But guilt, a persistent weed in his conscience, had steered him towards Mrs. Evans' garden. He'd overheard Ben snickering about her old lady hobbies and the way she talked to her plants. Alex hadn't joined in, but he hadn't defended her either. Now, peering through the wrought iron fence, he saw her struggling with a rusted garden hoe, its metal teeth glinting menacingly in the afternoon sun. She tugged, grunting with effort, her brow furrowed in concentration. A strand of fiery red hair had escaped her bun and clung to her cheek. "Need a hand, Mrs. Evans?" Alex called out hesitantly, his voice cracking slightly. She jumped, startled, nearly dropping the hoe. "Oh. Alex, isn't it? Hello, dear. I'm just battling this recalcitrant weed." She forced a laugh, but Alex could see the strain in her eyes. He unlatched the gate and stepped inside, the gravel crunching under his sneakers. "Here, let me try." He took the hoe, feeling its weight in his hands. With a few well-aimed strokes, he loosened the stubborn weed, its roots finally surrendering to his efforts. "Oh, you're a lifesaver," she exclaimed, clapping her hands together. "I swear, that thing has been mocking me all week." She bent down to pull the weed free, and that's when it happened. Her foot slipped on a loose stone, and she tumbled forward, landing awkwardly on her knee. "Ouch!" she cried, clutching her leg. Alex rushed to her side. "Mrs. Evans. Are you okay?" Her face was pale, and a trickle of blood ran down her shin. "Just a bit clumsy, I suppose. Nothing a plaster won't fix." But her voice wavered, and Alex could tell she was in more pain than she let on. "Let's get you inside," he said, gently helping her to her feet. She leaned heavily on him as they made their way to the back door of the charming cottage, its walls draped in climbing roses. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of cinnamon and old books. Alex guided her to a plush armchair in the living room. "Stay here," he instructed, his voice surprisingly firm. "I'll find a first aid kit." He located it in the bathroom cabinet, a small white box filled with bandages, antiseptic wipes, and a tube of ointment. He knelt beside her, carefully cleaning the scrape on her knee. She winced as the antiseptic touched the raw skin. "Sorry," he mumbled, his cheeks flushing. "It's all right, dear. You're doing a wonderful job." Her voice was soft, laced with gratitude. As he dabbed the wound with a cotton ball, he noticed the flecks of dirt under her fingernails, a testament to her passion. He felt a strange sense of connection to this woman he barely knew, a shared appreciation for the simple beauty of the garden and the quiet act of tending to it. After applying the ointment and bandaging her knee, he looked up, meeting her warm, brown eyes. "Better?" he asked. "Much," she replied, a genuine smile gracing her lips. "Thank you, Alex. You're a very kind young man. Do you want to stay for dinner? Flowers and dreams. Here, let me help you with that." Alex rummaged in his backpack, pulling out a water bottle and a small first aid kit. He unscrewed the cap and offered the water to Evie, who accepted it with a grateful smile. "Thanks," she said, taking a long sip. "I think I just twisted my ankle. Silly me, trying to move that terracotta pot. It's heavier than it looks." Alex knelt beside her, carefully examining her ankle. "It's a bit swollen. I have a bandage in here. It's not much, but it should help." He gently wrapped the bandage around her ankle. His fingers brushed against her skin, sending a strange flutter through him. He quickly pulled away, a blush creeping up his neck. "So," he said, trying to sound casual. "You really like flowers, huh?" He gestured to the riot of color surrounding them. Evie's face lit up. "Like them? I adore them. I've always dreamed of opening my own flower shop. Evie's Eden, I'd call it. Imagine, a little place filled with the scent of roses and lilies, where people can come to find the perfect bouquet for any occasion. Her eyes sparkled as she described her vision, a world away from the pain she must be feeling. That sounds amazing, Alex said, genuinely impressed. He tried to picture Evie behind a counter, arranging flowers with her delicate hands. It was a perfect fit. What kind of flowers would you have? Oh, everything. Classic roses, of course, but also exotic orchids, cheerful sunflowers, and fragrant lavender. I'd even grow some of my own, right here in this garden. She gestured around them, her voice filled with passion. It's a crazy dream, I know, but... Her voice trailed off, a hint of doubt creeping in. It's not crazy, Alex said, a little louder than he intended. It's a really good dream. He stood up, feeling a sudden urge to help. Here, let me tidy up a bit. You shouldn't be moving around. He started gathering the scattered gardening tools, carefully placing them back in the shed. The trowel, the hand rake, the watering can, each felt strangely significant in his hands, tools of creation, of dreams. Evie watched him, a soft smile playing on her lips. You're a lifesaver, Alex. Thank you. As he worked, Alex felt a sense of purpose he hadn't expected. He was just tidying up, but somehow, it felt like he was helping Evie nurture her dream, one garden tool at a time. An unexpected invitation. Evie leaned against the porch railing, watching Alex gather the last of the scattered terracotta shards into a cardboard box. The setting sun cast long shadows, painting the garden in hues of amber and rose. I honestly don't know what I would have done without you, Alex. Thank you. Really. Her voice was thick with genuine appreciation. He shrugged, a faint blush rising on his cheeks. It was nothing, Mrs. Evans. Evie, please. She smiled, a genuine, warm smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes. And it wasn't nothing. You saved my back, and probably my sanity. She paused, a sudden thought bubbling up. You know, she said, a touch of impulsiveness coloring her tone, you've earned yourself a proper dinner. Would you like to stay? I was just about to start making something. Alex's eyes widened. He hadn't expected that. He glanced at his watch, then back at Evie, a mixture of excitement and trepidation swirling within him. Staying for dinner? With Evie? It felt different. I don't know, Mrs. Evie. I should probably call my mom. Of course. Use the phone inside. It's on the kitchen counter. Evie gestured towards the open front door, trying not to appear too eager. She hoped she hadn't overstepped. Inside, Alex picked up the cordless phone, his hand slightly trembling. He punched in his home number and waited, the dial tone seeming to echo loudly in the quiet kitchen. Hello. His mom's voice, laced with its usual gentle warmth, answered on the third ring. Hey, Mom, it's me. I'm still at Mrs. Evans' place. She invited me to stay for dinner. Is that okay? He held his breath, waiting for her response. He could practically feel her scrutinizing him through the phone line. A moment of silence stretched, punctuated only by the faint chirping of crickets outside. Then, Mrs. Evans. The one who hurt herself. Oh, that's very kind of her, Alex. Did you help her out? Yeah, I did. A lot, actually. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other. Well, his mom said, a hint of amusement in her voice, as long as you're back before dark. And be sure to thank her properly. Tell her I said hello. Okay, Mom. Thanks. He hung up the phone, a grin spreading across his face. He was staying. Dinner and discoveries. The aroma of garlic and basil drifted from the kitchen, a comforting counterpoint to the earlier scent of upturned earth and petunias. Need a hand? Alex asked, hovering in the doorway. Evie, her cheeks flushed from the warmth of the oven, beamed at him. Actually, yes. Could you chop those tomatoes? Not too small, chunky is good. He moved to the counter, the cool smoothness of the cutting board a welcome sensation under his fingertips. As he worked, Evie hummed along to a song playing softly on the radio, a cheerful melody that seemed to weave its way into the cozy atmosphere. So, she said, glancing over her shoulder, besides being a gardening superhero, what else do you do? Alex chuckled, a nervous sound that quickly morphed into genuine amusement. Not much of a superhero. I like movies, mostly old ones. And reading. Stuff like that. Old movies. Excellent. Evie grabbed a wooden spoon and stirred something bubbling on the stove. Anything in particular? I'm a sucker for anything with Audrey Hepburn. Oh, me too. Roman Holiday is my all-time favorite. But I also like Hitchcock, especially Rear Window. Hitchcock. See, this is why I knew you were good people. Evie laughed, a warm, melodic sound. What about books? Anything good lately? He hesitated, suddenly feeling self-conscious. I just finished The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's a bit dark, I guess. Evie's eyes widened. Dark and brilliant. Oscar Wilde was a genius. I reread The Importance of Being Earnest at least once a year. Pure joy. They fell into an easy rhythm, chopping, stirring, and talking, the kitchen filling with the comforting sounds of clanging pots and shared laughter. The tomatoes were soon diced, the pasta drained, and a vibrant salad assembled. As they sat down at the small, round table, bathed in the soft glow of a nearby lamp, Alex felt a sense of contentment he hadn't anticipated. To new friends, Evie said, raising her glass of sparkling water. He clinked his glass against hers, the sound delicate and promising. To new friends. The pasta was delicious, the conversation flowed effortlessly, and for the first time in a long time, Alex felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. He discovered that Evie loved classic literature as much as he did and that they shared a similar appreciation for the beauty of a well-told story. The comfortable atmosphere deepened as the evening progressed. The gardening apprentice. The scent of damp earth and petunias hung heavy in the air as Alex knelt beside Evie, carefully loosening the soil around a struggling tomato plant. Like giving it a little breathing room, she explained, her fingers nimble and quick. Roots need space to stretch and find the good stuff. Alex mimicked her actions, his brow furrowed in concentration. He felt a strange sense of accomplishment as the soil crumbled easily beneath his touch. So, not too tight. Evie chuckled, a warm, melodic sound. Exactly. Think of it like a hug. You want it to be comforting, not suffocating. Sunlight dappled through the leaves of the old apple tree, casting dancing shadows on their faces. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, the only sounds the chirping of crickets and the gentle rustle of leaves. Evie pointed out the difference between a weed and a budding sunflower, showed him how to pinch off the suckers on the tomato plants, and explained the importance of companion planting. Basil, she said, was a tomato's best friend. Alex felt a sense of calm he rarely experienced. Back home, the air crackled with unspoken tensions, with the weight of his parents' worries about bills and his older brother's latest escapade. Here, in Evie's garden, there was only the quiet rhythm of nature, the satisfaction of working with his hands, and the easy companionship of someone who didn't seem to judge him. Later, they stood side by side, admiring their handiwork. Rows of vibrant marigolds blazed beside neat lines of lettuce, and tiny pepper plants stood bravely in the afternoon sun. It's really coming along, Alex said, a shy smile gracing his lips. Evie beamed. We're a good team, Alex. You've got a natural green thumb. She reached out and playfully nudged his shoulder. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden, Evie turned to him, her eyes sparkling. I was just about to make some pasta. Would you want to stay for dinner? I could use the company. Alex hesitated, his heart doing a funny little skip. Staying for dinner felt different. More personal. He pictured his brothers teasing, the knowing glances from his friends. But then he looked at Evie, her face open and hopeful, and a surge of something akin to courage washed over him. Yeah, he said, his voice a little hoarse. Yeah, I'd like that. Whispers and teasing. The snickers began subtly, a low thrum of amusement that vibrated through Alex as he passed the basketball court. He shrugged it off, blaming lingering frustration from the earlier game's questionable officiating. Then came the whispers, needling and sharp, like splinters under his skin. Yo, Ramirez. Off to help your sweetie tend the posies? Heat surged into Alex's cheeks, prickling his ears. Eyes glued to the fractured asphalt, he sped up. A wave of giggles crested behind him, punctuated by a mocking falsetto, "Oh, Alex, the geraniums are parched." He yearned for the earth to swallow him whole. He'd reveled in assisting Evie, in the simple satisfaction of feeling useful. Now, the innocent act of watering flowers felt poisoned, a source of acute embarrassment. The torment ratcheted up the next day. Marco, the self-styled ringleader, trapped him by the bike racks. So, what's it like kicking it with the geriatrics? He waggled his fingers around geriatrics, the sarcasm practically dripping from his tongue. Alex mumbled something about Evie's kindness, her impressive knowledge of horticulture. Horticulture? Seriously? You're blowing your summer on a grandma and her prize-winning blooms? Marco's guffaws bounced off the brick wall, instantly drawing an audience. A knot tightened in Alex's gut. He despised how Marco twisted it all. He craved acceptance, not to be labeled as a weirdo who socialized with bold folks. He longed for Marco's easy popularity, his athletic prowess. He detoured home from then on, giving Evie's house a wide berth. He concocted flimsy excuses when she waved from her porch, pleading chores or homework. The truth was, he couldn't confront the smirks, the knowing glances. Each averted gaze from Evie stung, a painful validation of his own burgeoning shame. He missed her tales, the earthy perfume that clung to her, the clandestine cookies always stashed in her apron. But the specter of ridicule proved too potent, driving a wedge between them. He started loitering at the basketball court, forcing himself to join in Marco's jeers, even when they fell flat. One afternoon, he spied Evie in her garden, her brow creased in concentration as she coaxed life back into a struggling rose. He ached to approach her, to offer an explanation, an apology. But Marco and his crew were nearby, their eyes fixed on him, their grins predatory. He balled his hands into fists, inhaled deeply, and pivoted in the other direction. The fragrance of roses, formerly a comforting balm, now felt like a barbed accusation, a constant reminder of his craven act. A heart-to-heart. Evie found Alex perched on the edge of the fountain in the town square, tossing pebbles into the water. He hadn't been around the garden much lately, and when he was, he seemed distant. She sat beside him, the cool stone a welcome contrast to the afternoon sun. "Hey," she said softly. "Everything okay?" He shrugged, avoiding her eyes. Another pebble splashed into the fountain, disrupting the placid surface. "Yeah, fine." Evie wasn't buying it. "You haven't been yourself. And you've been avoiding me. Did I do something?" He sighed, the sound heavy for such a young boy. "It's not you, Evie. It's the guys. They've been making fun." "Making fun of what?" "Of me," he mumbled, kicking at the stone edging. "For helping you. They say I'm an old lady's helper. A gardener boy." Evie's heart sank. She should have seen this coming. Kids could be cruel. "And that bothers you?" He finally looked up, his eyes troubled. "Well, yeah. Nobody wants to be made fun of." She took his hand, his small finger surprisingly strong. "Alex, look at me. Those boys, they're just being loud. They're trying to feel important by putting you down. But that doesn't make it true. But what if they're right? What if it's weird for me to be hanging out with you? Evie squeezed his hand. Weird? I don't think so. I think it's special. You're a good friend, Alex. A real friend. Someone who helps without being asked, someone who listens, someone who cares. That's rarer than you think. And true friends don't care about age or what other people think. She pointed to the meticulously arranged petunias spilling from a nearby planter, their colors vibrant against the gray stone. Those flowers, they don't care who planted them. They just grow and bloom. You and I, we're just like that. We're creating something beautiful together. And if a few weeds try to choke us, we pull them out and keep going. Alex managed a small smile. So, I shouldn't worry about what they say. Not even a little bit. Real friendship is about being yourself, and finding people who appreciate you for it. Those boys? They're not real friends. Don't let their negativity steal your sunshine. She ruffled his hair. Now, how about we go check on those tomatoes? I think they might need a little support, just like everyone else sometimes. Blooming bonds. The snickers still echoed in Alex's ears from yesterday. He imagined Mark and his cronies were probably sharpening their barbs, ready to launch another round of taunts. But something Evie had said kept replaying in his mind, don't let anyone tell you who to be, Alex. He clenched his fists, the memory of her warm smile a surprising source of strength. He wouldn't let them. He found Evie carefully arranging a vibrant bouquet of sunflowers and zinnias on her porch. Morning, he said, a little louder than usual. Evie looked up, her face lighting up. Alex. Perfect timing. I was just about to start my rounds. Want to help? He hesitated only for a moment. Yeah, I do. Evie beamed, handing him a smaller basket filled with delicate lavender sprigs and posies. These are for Mrs. Gable. She loves anything purple. As they walked down the street, Alex felt a familiar knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach. But then he saw Mrs. Gable's face when he presented her with the lavender. Her wrinkles deepened into a genuine smile, and she thanked him profusely, her eyes sparkling with an almost childlike joy. She hasn't been out of the house much since her knee surgery, Evie whispered as they walked away. The flowers really brighten her day. They continued their rounds, visiting Mrs. Rodriguez, who used the flowers in her cooking, and Mr. Henderson, a retired veteran who carefully placed a single red rose on his late wife's photograph. Alex found himself genuinely enjoying the interactions, the simple act of bringing a little bit of beauty into their lives. He even started to feel comfortable enough to make small talk. He learned that Mrs. Rodriguez's secret ingredient was a pinch of nasturtium petals and that Mr. Henderson had served in the same unit as his grandfather. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the lawns when they returned to Evie's house. The baskets were almost empty, and Alex felt a surprising sense of accomplishment. You were a natural, Evie said, clapping him on the shoulder. Thank you, Alex. Really? He shrugged, a genuine smile finally reaching his own eyes. Anytime, Evie. The knot in his stomach was gone, replaced by a warmth that spread through his chest. He knew the teasing might not stop, but it didn't matter as much anymore. He had found something real, something worthwhile, in his friendship with Evie. And that, he realized, was a strength he didn't know he possessed. The flower shop's grand opening. The fragrance announced its presence before he reached the threshold, an opulent blend of roses, lilies, and something deeply rooted, like sun-baked earth after a spring shower. He straightened his tie, a persistent tick he hadn't managed to shed, and entered. Evie's Enchanted Blooms, the sign declared, its script entwined with painted tendrils. The shop pulsed with life. Sunlight poured through the expansive window panes, illuminating bouquets that radiated color. Patrons drifted among the displays, admiring the artistry, chatting with Evie's assistants, and savoring champagne from slender glasses. He located her near the back, her fiery red hair, a vibrant landmark amidst the gentle hues of the flowers. She was chuckling, her arm draped around an older woman cradling a tiny bunch of lavender. He recalled their first meeting, for decades prior, her young form sprawled within a thicket of rose thorns, her face etched with discomfort. A scrawny boy then, all sharp angles and protruding joints, he'd sought refuge in his backyard, trying to escape the tormenting older boys. He had tentatively offered his assistance, weeding, watering, his initial timidity dissolving under her gracious spirit. He navigated the throng, the atmosphere saturated with perfume and the soft hum of conversation. As he approached, Evie glanced up, her eyes widening with recognition. "Alex," she cried, stepping away from the woman and enveloping him in an embrace. "You came." "Wouldn't have missed it," he replied, returning the warmth of her hug. "The place is incredible, Evie. You've truly outdone yourself." She glowed, her face radiant with pride. "It's been a long journey. Remember that pathetic little scrap of wasteland behind the house? Look at this now." She swept her hand, indicating the shop, her eyes bright with joy. He chuckled, picturing that forgotten patch. "I distinctly recall thinking we'd never tame it." He paused, a surge of memories flooding his mind. "You know, that garden, it was the first time I actually felt competent. The first time someone genuinely sought my help." Evie squeezed his hand. "You were always capable, Alex. You simply required someone to see your potential." Her expression softened, a knowing light in her eyes. "And you offered me something invaluable too, remember? You breathed new life into my dreams when I thought I would never touch soil again." A comfortable quiet descended, a testament to their enduring connection. The passing years seemed to vanish, and for a fleeting moment, they were transported back to that sun-drenched sanctuary, two unlikely companions discovering solace and purpose amidst the blossoming flora.